Grip socks are great, but why pay up to $40 for a single pair when you can pay a lot less? Stop wasting money and get yours for just $14.99 a pair at puregripsocks.com.
If you're a regular viewer of this channel, then you know that I've never been big on recommending takedown models, and the reason for that is if you have roughly $100 to spend on a pair of football boots, you can often get a top-end model from a previous season or even in an older colorway that's been discounted to a takedown model price, especially given how expensive some takedown models are these days. But then there are certain takedowns that come out that kind of break this rule, and this is one of them. The Nike Tiempo Legend 9 Pro. It bears a retail price of $130, which is by no means cheap for a pair of takedown football boots, but when compared to the top-end $230 Tiempo Legend 9 Elite, it basically gives you all of the same elements for $100 less. So if you were planning on picking up the new Tiempos and just splurging on the top-end Elite model, you might want to watch this video because the information I'm about to share might just change your mind and might just save you a significant amount of money. I'm going to talk about exactly what the differences are between the Pro and Elite. We'll talk tech specs, how they fit and feel on feet, and ultimately conclude not only how this compares to the top-end Elite model, but also where it stands in the value for money category of leather football boots. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review. And if you are interested in a pair for yourself, at $130, they're not exactly inexpensive, but you can get them for even less than that by way of some SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying the video and perhaps want to see more reviews of takedown models on the channel, don't forget to support this video with a like and let me know specifically which boots you'd like to see reviewed down below in the comment section. And also guys, we just passed 700,000 subscribers on the channel. Thank you so much for your support, but we'd like to continue to grow. If you guys regularly watch the content, enjoy it, but aren't subscribed to the channel, it would mean the world to me if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So what exactly is the difference? Because the Pro sure does look a lot like the Elite model, and there are some subtle differences that somebody who's really into football boots are going to notice in terms of finishes and things looking slightly more premium on the Elite. But in general, they're pretty hard to tell apart, especially from a distance. The first and probably most significant difference you're going to find is the upper itself, which is still made from a natural leather material, but unlike the Elite, which features a kangaroo leather base, this features what is listed on Nike's website as premium leather, which I'm going to assume is some form of calfskin. Why they don't specify that themselves, I'm not entirely sure why, but you still get the same amount of leather that spans pretty much the entirety of the upper, other than where the Nike swoosh is positioned, as well as the back of the heel. And then of course across the top of the foot, you have this elasticated mesh material. Nonetheless, this leather is still very, very soft. Is it quite to the same standard as the Elite? No, I think the kangaroo leather model does feel a little bit softer, but it's also a little bit thicker in terms of the padded feel that it has on offer. And that's something that I really noticed when trying these out, is on the ball, this is just a little bit thinner, which you might actually prefer if you don't want a boot that is overly padded, which I think is not how I would describe the Legend 9 Elite, but based on how it looks, that is one of the elements that I was kind of surprised with, is that they offered more of a padded touch than I was personally expecting. So these are slightly thinner, which you may or may not prefer depending on what you're looking for. And I don't want to say that this is a better upper by any means at all. I think the softer kangaroo leather upper on the Legend 9 Elite does definitely feel better, but it's a very marginal difference that, especially once the boots are broken in, you're gonna have a hard time telling the difference between the two. You're also gonna find that this utilizes the same memory foam inserts that span across the forefoot, the toe box area, as well as here on the medial side, and even feature the little texturing on the surface to provide that extra friction on the ball. There's not really much to be had here in the way of extra grip, but you do get that little bit of extra dampening that I would argue might actually work better with the thinner leather you have on the Pro versus what you have on the Elites, where again, I think the leather along with the memory foam on the Elite model, does arguably make them a little bit more padded than they need to be, even though I'm personally kind of a big fan of the way that they feel. But in terms of overall touch and feel, really the main thing that you're going to notice as a difference between the Pro and the Elite is that the Pro is slightly thinner and maybe slightly less soft. Across the top of the foot, you're going to find the Tiempo signature central lacing system, which just works really well. It's a simple way of doing things, but one that is very effective. And then you're going to find this elasticated mesh tongue, which kind of just floats in the opening and attaches at either side of the upper, so it can't slide from side to side. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same material as what you're going to find on the Elite, but in terms of what I can see and feel, it's pretty much exactly the same. The only difference is this top piece right here that kind of borders the edge. Instead of being fused like it is on the Elite, you can see it's stitched to the rest of the tongue here on the Pro, but that's not something that you're gonna feel whatsoever. In general, this padded mesh, while maybe not as premium as Flyknit, which a lot of people complained about with the Elite model, it ultimately ends up feeling the same and does the job pretty effectively. I think they got the thickness just right, where it doesn't feel out of place when compared to the more padded leather upper. Moving to the rear of the boot, you're going to find a low cut construction with an internal plastic heel counter, and then this is where I think you have one of the more significant differences, and that's in the heel liner, where instead of that really soft, nicely padded kind of synthetic suede material, you have a synthetic leather, which does the job. It feels fine, it's perfectly comfortable, it locks your heel in place, the shape really isn't all that different, but it's nowhere near as soft, and I don't think feels as comfortable as what you're going to find on the Elite. That's one of my personal favorite features of the Legend 9 Elite, and they have taken it away here for the Pro, I guess somewhat unsurprisingly. And then the insole, that is fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. It too is different. Again, just not as premium. It features a standard mesh liner on the surface, and then it's made from a single layer of this relatively thin kind of Ortholite style foam. Moving to the base of the Legend 9 Pro, you're going to find a sole plate end stud pattern that is different from what you're going to find on the Elite, although the changes that they've made are so subtle that you really don't notice them. It is technically made from a different plastic, at least as far as I can tell, but because the plastic is relatively thin, regardless of whether you go for the Pro or the Elite, it just ultimately ends up having this really nice flexible feel with a little bit of some extra rigidity through the midfoot and heel versus what we saw from the previous generation of Tiempo, but ultimately a sole plate that does not feel that different from the last couple years of Tiempo models. And then the stud pattern, which has undergone some very subtle changes from the last generation, and now features 4 bladed studs in the heel, which is no different from the Elite. But then in the forefoot, you have your conical studs that on the Elite model have a little bit of kind of a straight edge to the rounded stud. And you can see there's a little bit of a drop off on that inside edge of the stud. It's just more significant on the Elite model than what you're gonna find on the Pro. But again, it's such a small difference to basically 6 studs underneath your feet that ultimately just feel like rounded studs anyways. It's not something that you're gonna notice. And overall, the Tiempo stud pattern is not really out there to provide the most aggressive traction. It's trying to give you this happy medium of something that is relatively traditional in terms of giving you that freedom to twist and pivot, which is why they implement the rounded studs, but then some more aggressive studs like the chevron tip here at the toe that gives you that bite when pushing off for accelerating and things like that. All in all, if you've worn a Tiempo in the last several years, you know exactly what to expect from this stud pattern. Which brings us to the weight, which was something that Nike really emphasized in their marketing material for the Legend 9 Elite. It was supposed to be the lightest Tiempo ever, and it's really difficult to say whether or not it truly is that. It is a smidge lighter than the Legend 8 that it replaces, literally by a couple of grams, not weight that you're actually going to notice. But the question is the Pro just as light? And in a size 9.5 US, you can see that the Pros weigh in at 7.75 ounces, the equivalent of 220 grams, which is overall very lightweight. And if we're comparing it to the Elite model, it's roughly 5-6 grams more. It's a very subtle difference, and again, an amount of weight that you are not going to be able to feel on your feet. So here they are on feet, and I haven't commented much on the looks of the boots, and I wasn't a huge fan of this black pack colorway, but they do look a lot better on feet. I even matched up the gray reflective Nike swoosh with some gray Pure Grip Socks Pro, which for those that don't know is my own brand of grip socks. This new Pro variation features an upgraded material that is super soft and super stretchy, and of course features grips along the bottom of the foot as well as the back of the heel. They're available now in a wide variety of colors for just $16.99 a pair. If you're interested in trying some out for yourself, the website to visit is puregripsocks.com, which of course will be linked down below. Now, as far as how the Legend 9 Pro feels on feet, if you've tried the Legend 9 Elite, then you have a pretty good idea of what these are all about, because really the only difference that you're going to be able to feel is maybe the leather being not quite as soft on the Legend 9 Pro, and of course the heel liner, which is not uncomfortable, but it's certainly not as premium as what you're going to find on the Elite model. In general, the Legend 9 Pro fits just as well and is every bit as comfortable as what you're going to find from the Elite model. As far as the shape is concerned, the boot has undergone some changes from the previous generation, where I feel like they've added a little bit of width to the toe box and forefoot area. It just has a little bit more of a rounded shape rather than the pointed shape that it had before. Personally, I prefer the shape that they have on this newer model, and in general, the boots fit very comfortably because of the central lacing system that runs nice and deep. There's a lot of adjustability to the upper, making this a really good option if you do have wider feet, especially given the fact that it's a leather upper that's going to have that ability to stretch as well as you wear the boots in. So these are boots that are going to fit just about everybody. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So to answer the question, is the Tiempo Legend 9 Pro takedown model just as good as the top-end Elite version? And Nike is not going to like me saying this, but the answer to that question, if I'm being honest to myself, is yes, it's just as good. When you're talking about the core DNA of what makes the 9th generation Tiempo Legend feel the way that it does, the Legend 9 Pro has all of those same elements. The leather is good quality, it's soft on your feet, you have the memory foam inserts, you have the micro texturing on the surface, the boot is the exact same shape, the tongue and lacing system is the same, the sole plate and stud pattern feels virtually identical. There is hardly a weight difference between the two other than the heel liner, and I'm being honest here. If they put the heel liner from the Legend 9 Elite in the Pro, I don't think I would be able to tell a difference between the two. With that said, would I pick the Pros over the Elites for myself personally? No, I wouldn't. I appreciate the slightly softer, slightly more padded leather that you get with the kangaroo leather upper on the Elite model, and I really like the heel liner on that boot as well. But if you're purely looking at this from a value for money perspective and you want the best possible Tiempo Legend 9 experience for the least amount of money, then by all means, you should definitely buy the Legend 9 Pro over the Legend 9 Elite. Credit to Nike for putting out a takedown model that makes you question whether or not you should even consider spending the money on their more expensive products. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair for yourself, pick them up below the normal retail price by checking out the first link down below. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to ask them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.